Hi everyone, it's Laura from Sweet Handmade Cookies. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm working on Valentine samples. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to start cutting the dough for these Valentine samples. Obviously, I made and rolled the dough earlier today. So this is a rather unique set of cookies for me to make. I don't have a customer asking me for a specific design. This is all whatever my heart desires. Also, when I'm creating a set for customers, I never have this many options. In this set of cookies, it turned out to be 32 cookies, and I believe it was 24-ish different designs. So all of a similar color scheme, but still lots of different designs and thoughts to go into those designs. Of course, the scraps get reused, and so they're going into the freezer bag. And now take a look at this cookie there in the center of this picture that I've circled. This is the cookie I'm trying to create. And even though I have 34 different heart-shaped cookie cutters, I did not have that particular cookie cutter. And so I'm going to make that out of 2 different heart cutters. They're the same heart shape, but just different sizes. I'll leave the dough right there in that big sheet of dough from after the first cut. And now I'm adding the second cut, and that will be the perfect little design. I will make the second one. I'm making 2 of this design. And then I realized I should probably place them on the cookie sheet right away so that they don't get moved around too much. And so I grabbed a cookie sheet, and then I made sure the 2 cookies were close together. And then the baking process will fuse those 2 pieces together, and you'll never know that it was 2 separate little pieces of dough. This next cutter is one that I got from the Vintage Cookie Jar. Their cutters are available exclusively through How Sweet Is That? I'll put links to both of those places in the description of this video. And as you can see, when I cut this cookie out, I place a ruler over top of it. My dough is really stiff, and I find that when I use these particular cookie cutters, they actually hurt my hand a little bit. It is so worth it because these cookie cutters make the sharpest cuts, and they're just fantastic designs. So I'm willing to have a little bit of pain, but I did find a ruler on top of the cookie cutter does make a difference. And I use a ruler on top of cookie cutters often. I just didn't do it for most of these. I'm going to be using that blue cutter in a second that's laying there, and it's an ice cream cone because I'm doing one cookie that is melt me or something, and then after I cut it I realized I wanted a popsicle, not an ice cream cone, so that ice cream cone ends up back in the scrap bag and it'll get re-rolled. This white cutter that I'm using is from Emma Sweets. They make fabulous cutters. I have quite a few of theirs in my collection now. I'll put a link to her store as well in my video description. And now what I'm doing is I'm actually using a piece of paper as a outline for a cookie. So I needed to make a football jersey cookie. I do not have a football jersey cutter. I have football helmet, footballs, but not a jersey. And so I just printed out a jersey onto a piece of regular paper. Because my dough is stiff, it's no problem for me to be able to cut it out with a paring knife. So that's what I did. I cut it out exactly to the right size. And then now I'm just going through. This is a great, if you've never made a design before, you don't think you're ever going to make it, maybe it's a one-off, this is a great little way. I used to think you needed to print it on cardboard. Nah, just a piece of paper works. And later I'll probably, I could use that in the projector if I needed to. Okay, last cookie. And so now the cookies have baked, and then while they were baking, I made the royal icing. And now the next step is to start coloring the icing. So I'm going to measure out 200 grams of icing into this little bowl. I'm doing 5 different colors right now, and so 5 bowls of 200 grams. And 200 grams generally does about 8 cookies for me. This set will be a little different because there's a variety of shapes, a lot of littler shapes. And the first cookie, the first bowl of icing will be white. And so I started with some white food coloring in there. And you might wonder why I add white food coloring to an apparently white icing. Well, having the food coloring in there helps to saturate the icing and helps prevent other colors from bleeding into it and becoming unsightly. And actually the icing isn't as white as you think after you add white food color and you go, oh yes, this does look better. Now I'm working on black, and I never actually aim for a black icing. I think if you've made your icing black, you've gone way too far, and your teeth will be black, and nobody likes that. And so what I aim for is a dark gray. If you look at my watch band, that's a dark gray, and that's sort of the color I aim for. Once it dries, it'll dry black. And so, you know, if you are making icing and this is something you're experiencing, this is something you really need to try out. Make some dark gray icing and let it dry, and you'll see it turns out black. So in addition to making the colors, like coloring the icing, I'm also trying to change the consistency because all of these icings are meant to be flood consistency. I'm going to use these to flood the cookies, and so I need them to be the right consistency. Now you'll see I'm using these little bowls that fit so perfectly in my hand. These are Corelle little bowls, and I have probably 15 or so of them. I have these little spatulas that I use, and they work really great to for me to move the icing around and get it going. I keep showing you my hands because they're just filthy from, I always get food coloring on my fingers when I'm making icing. And now for the next color, I'm doing a dark pink, and I'm going to do this one in real time so you get a sense of how long making these colors and the right consistency of the icing actually takes. So first I put in some gel food coloring, give it a quick stir just to see if I'm on the right track as far as color intensity, and then I start adding in water to change the consistency. I have a water filtration system that results in delicious water. I think the taste of the water you add to your royal icing can make a real difference. And so it's important to me that it's a really yummy water. I stir slowly in the beginning so that that water doesn't come gushing off over the sides of the bowl. And then I can pick up the speed at which I stir because I'm still trying to mix that icing in. That takes quite a bit of stirring before every bit of the icing is the same color. Don't want any light spots. I don't want any dark spots. And then I have to see whether or not it's getting close to flood consistency. So I'm going to keep stirring and then just sort of feeling it. And I can, you know, I've done this a time or two, so I do have a feeling. I do get close to knowing, yeah, I'm really close now to the actual consistency that I'm looking for. And I have to make sure that it's not too thick, but also not too thin, because if it's too thin, when I go to ice a cookie, the icing is actually going to come pouring off the side of the cookie, and that is pretty unsightly. And then the only way to make a too thin icing thicker is by adding more of the original royal icing, which is always very thick. But that will change the color, of course. So if I'm now in love with this color, then I'm going to have to figure out how to make this color again. Okay, here we go. Here's a test. 1, 2, 3. I'm counting up to 10. And you saw that I brought like a ribbon of icing down over the top. I'm now going to pick it up at 10 seconds, and I'm going to shake the bowl. And I'm going to see if the icing is smooth on the top. It wasn't, because I went back and added more water. And so that's the test. I put a ribbon of icing over top of the icing that's in the bowl. I count to 10 seconds. I have a second hand on my watch. And then at the end of 10 seconds, I pick up the bowl and shake it for 2. And if it's completely smooth, then it's the consistency I'm looking for to flood a cookie. So I'm checking again. and it's not right yet. I still have to add a bit of water. And now it's just 1 or 2 drops at a time because it can quickly go too thin. And now I like it. It's the right consistency. And so I have 1 more icing color to make in this little batch here. It's going to be a light pink. After this, I have 7 more colors to make for this set. And then I'm going to bag up the icings, and then I'm going to start the flooding process. So let the flooding begin. For this cookie here, I'm doing an outline, and then I'll fill it in. This was that hand-cut football jersey cookie. For this cookie, I'm using a sprinkle tray. This is a great little tool that you can use to catch any sprinkles and other little, I think some people call them jimmies, that you use to put on top of your cookie icing. And instead of them going everywhere and then struggling to get them back into the container that you store them in, it has a little funnel on the end. I'll use it again later and it'll be easier to see the funnel. And so now it's just 1 cookie after another. Flood, flood, flood. And I wrote a little note there. So you can see a note on that cookie sheet that says dark pink. Because there were so many different designs. I was having a really hard time keeping track of it all. In a regular set, say a set of 24 cookies, the most designs I would have in a set of 24 is 6. So then you're, making at least 4 of every design, and that's just easier. But this one was a real challenge. What actually is this circle cookie? And what color actually is this circle cookie supposed to be? Keeping track of it was a bit of a challenge for me, but I got there in the end. There's a couple of donut cookies on this tray, which I think are super cute. And I also like that the center of the donut is a heart, which I think is probably impossible to achieve with a real donut. These are going to be smiley face cookies that have hearts as eyes. And the way I always flood is I always outline, then I go and I fill in roughly, and then I go back in with that same bag of icing, and I use the tip of the icing bag to move icing around and also squeeze more icing out where I need it. And I use 1 consistency, that flood consistency you watched me make. I use that both to outline the cookie and to fill it in. These are the cookies that I'm flooding now to make the Taylor Swift friendship bracelet cookies. And I cut out 6 of them. And then when I got to about cookie 2 of the 6, I thought, why exactly am I making 6? They weren't requested. This is just for samples. And so I made 3. I don't remember what I did with those other cookies. I might have eaten them. I love my cookies uniced. Or I would have used them for other samples or something like that. So these are those double heart cookies that I made, and you can see they're just, nobody would ever know that that was 2 separate pieces of dough, because they bake together and they bake together perfectly. Now these are going to be a peanut butter and jelly set. And so I'm doing the outline here, which is like the crust of the bread, which is like how I remember bread to look when I was a kid. You know, that big top. Bread doesn't look like that anymore, I don't think. And the truth is, this is like a peanut butter and jelly set. I've never eaten peanut butter and jelly. It does not sound appealing to me. I'll have peanut butter though. Okay, I'm moving on to, there was more to flood and I didn't show you all of them, but I'm moving on to the decorating. And so this is some hockey sticks crossed over, like crossed hockey sticks. And this particular set is going to be Let's Stick Together. You know, I live in Canada. Hockey's a very big deal here. And there are lots of hockey kids. And this was a great set to give to your hockey loving child for Valentine's Day, or your hockey loving spouse, hockey loving friend. All of those would work. What I don't know is, are any hockey sticks ever wooden? Like a wood color? Have to let me know. I think this must be like old-fashioned sticks. And now this was that popsicle cookie. I'm adding the wooden stick part of the popsicle. And now I'm adding the peanut butter and the jelly. Gosh, so cute. Wait till the little faces get put on there. All right, let me know if you know who this lady is. Of course, I've been using my projector for some of these cookies. This is my copy cake projector. I've had this, I think probably, let me quickly do the math in my head, 11 or so years, more than 10 for sure. And it's very reliable. It needs a light bulb. It's all it takes, and some electricity. But you have to print out on paper what it is you want to project onto your cookie. But and it takes a lot of room. So because I have a cookie kitchen, that is not a problem for me. And it results in really perfect cookies every time. A lot of times people say, how do you get all those cookies so perfect? And then this is the secret. There she is, Taylor. And now these are the friendship bracelets that I created. And these, I just tried to guess some popular names. I picked Harper, Willow, and Olivia. If you are a Harper, Willow, or Olivia, let me know, because that means I guessed right. These were really cute. So I added little hearts right next to the names, and then I did a pattern of pinks and purples of beads all the way around. And for fans of the show Friends, this was a rather sad year with the passing of Matthew Perry, and so I thought that it would be really nice to have a Friends theme set. And you'll see at the end, I had a little plaque cutter that said, I'll be there for you. And then this is that little picture frame that hung on the back of Rachel and Monica's door in the show. And I'm going to open up the projector in a second to actually look at the pattern, because it's like light yellow on dark yellow for this picture frame, but I can't really see the different colors of yellow on the projector projecting down. And now here I am using the sprinkle tray again. And you can see at the top there, it's like a funnel shape, and there's a little black stopper. And so if you have put a bunch of sprinkles on your cookies, on the icing, any sprinkles that fall off are going to land in the tray, and then you can tip it, take the little stopper out and tip it back into your jar. So I know for sure that these are available at Emma Sweets, and the link to her store will be in the description. Very handy. I've loved my sprinkle tray. Okay, and then here are the faces. I think they will look even cuter with eyebrows. And now, to finish this, at this point, anonymous football jersey. Let's see. I could make it less anonymous if I put a certain number on it. Okay, I have to tell you, I'm like so not a football person. Like, not at all. But I wasn't oblivious to the whole Travis and Taylor situation this year. These little flowers, super adorable. They were part of the big set that I created. And what I'm doing is just the one side of the leaves right now, so that they have a little bit of a chance to crust over. And then when I put the leaf on the other side, it will have a definition between the two pieces. And I'll also do that for the leaves on the top. So I'm going to put the center of the flower up first. Not sure the order now, what's going to happen next. Oh, okay, I'm going to work on the coffee cup. Oh, these little guys need rosy cheeks, so I'm doing some edible dust for rosy cheeks. Now I'm adding the flower petals. So, okay, I've already added 2, and now I'm adding the rest in. So I added 2 of the flower petals, let those crust over, and then when I add these remaining 3 flower petals, they don't all flow together. They just have definition, and that makes it extra pretty. I think these are just adorable. These flower cookies were actually part of a bigger set, but I like to mix and match, so that's what I did. And now I put the other side of that flower, or sorry, the leaves at the bottom of the flower on, again, because the one side had an opportunity to crust over. It'll have definition between those 2 leaves. Now I'm going to add some tape onto the bottom of the hockey sticks, and I'm going to add a wood grain to the popsicle stick. And for that I'm using an edible ink marker, and so this icing has to be dry for at least 12 hours before you can attempt it, because otherwise the tip of the marker will go right into the icing and leave a big dent. So this is one of the secrets of cookie decorating, is time. You know, you need time to let icing crust over. You need time to let you need to have time to let the icing dry before you can package, for example. So it was 3 long days, but my Valentine sample cookies were finally finished. These were the sets. Let's stick together. You can see I added a red outline to that hockey cookie. I added the words "You Make Me Melt" to this adorable popsicle set. These are the friendship bracelet cookies. I did this set, which is the Friends inspired, with the Friends font with the colors in between the letters. And then the We Go Together sets, like the peanut butter and jelly, the coffee and donuts, and the Travis and Taylor sets. And then finally I offered this big set of a variety of cookies. It was 14. I considered the strawberry sort of a 2-for-1. And there you go. Those were my sets. I hope you enjoyed the journey, and I'll see you at my next video right here on the Sweet Handmade Cookies YouTube channel.